And they thought, well, that'll keep the from wearing, and it won't. Guess what? That wore off real fast. I had a friend with a back in the 70s. Heck, he was every 60 miles in that thing.
All right, welcome back. Now, as you can see, the channel says debunking cars and not debunking Scotty Kilmer, but don't worry, there's still plenty of Scotty Kilmer to come. I'm just going to branch out and touch on some other topics here and there, but don't worry. Now today I'm going to look at Scotty's video about new cars or modern cars burning oil. Now this is a weird one because Scotty is half right and half wrong on this one. Let's take a trip down the Kilmer rabbit hole and see what he has to say.
Today I'm going to talk about a problem with modern cars that have engines that burn oil. And I'm doing this because lately some of my customers have told me that they have a car engine and it's burning oil. But they go to the dealer and they say, why is my car burning a quart of oil every 1,000 miles or less? To be told by the dealership, oh, that's normal for that car. But it's not right. And I'm going to show you the history of car engines to explain why it's not.
And he really doesn't give a history lesson here. He just explains with this little toy model how a four-stroke engine works, but there's not much information here. He also talks about two-stroke a little bit, but that's beside the point.
And being four-stroke motors, they should not burn oil at all.
And I just want to pause here and ask once again, I've brought it up before, but what is that in the back of his garage? Is that a wind chime? I have to know.
If they do, there's a problem, and here's where the problems are. The oil control ring on the piston keeps the oil from the crank from getting by the piston and burning inside. If these oil control rings are bad, or if the inside of the cylinder itself is worn, it will burn oil.
So earlier when I said that Scotty was half right, this is what I was talking about. He's right that in cars, especially recently vintaged cars, this is the main cause of burning oil. Bad piston rings or worn cylinders. However, once again, Scotty is showing that he's completely stuck in his old ways.
Here's my 25-year-old Celica.
Yeah, he can't make a single video without mentioning his Celica, especially if he's comparing or talking about other cars. He's always got to compare it to his Celica.
It's got 240,000 miles. It still doesn't burn any oil. Here's my wife's 17-year-old Lexus. It doesn't burn any oil. And here's her previous car, an 11-year-old Matrix. It doesn't burn oil.
So basically, this is just a Toyota commercial.
But there are quite a few modern cars that are now burning oil that shouldn't. As an example, the 2010 to 2017 Chevy Equinox with the 2.4-liter four-cylinder engine, many of them burn more than a quart every 1,000 miles. And there's a class action suit against that one.
Well, that's not actually fair. I mean, it's a Chevy Equinox. Come on. What about some of the other cars like Subaru or Audi?
Again, the dealership might tell you, oh, that's normal for those cars.
Ah, cool, an Amazon dealership. Where's that at?
And maybe normal for that car, but it's wrong. You don't want to buy a car like that.
Okay, well, why?
Because if you change your oil and filter regularly like you're supposed to, and use the oil they ask, in this case it's a 5W30 oil, your engine should not burn oil.
God, I feel like I'm going in circles here. Why? Why, Scotty?
As the engine fires, the oil should remain in the crankcase. It shouldn't get inside the cylinder and burn. That's just bad engineering or bad manufacturing processes.
So we're just going in circles here. Scotty never really says why it's a bad thing or why modern cars burn oil or any of that. The truth is, what happened is America went to war. Well, war, Hurricane Katrina, Iran and North Korea developing nukes. The 2000s were kind of wild, actually. So we had an energy crisis. Car sales slumped because fuel economy was a concern. People were hurting at the pump. This was especially true by 2008, 2009 when the global recession hit. It may seem like a bad, distant dream now, but it was pretty serious at the time. I remember seeing old classic cars go for dirt cheap because people just needed to pay bills. So yeah, if you're a car company and you wanted to sell cars, you had to improve MPG ratings. There's only so much you could do with things like aerodynamics, and if you want to still provide all the things the buyer wants, like, you know, enough room for your legs, you still need the power. So what is a quick way to improve MPG? Lube up those cylinders. Back in Scotty's day, burning oil was bad because you already couldn't stand near a running car for long without passing out. Add oil smoke to the mix and you're a chemical weapon, basically. Now, burning a bit of oil is not a big deal in terms of emissions. It improves MPG, and it actually prevents worn piston rings and cylinders, the very problem Scotty is talking about. So no, it's not some failure of manufacturing or design. Car engineers didn't suddenly get stupid. They know much more now than they did in Scotty's time. So if you have any suggestions for topics that are not Scotty related, put them in the comments below. Also, if you agree or disagree with this, tell me in the comments. Please like the video, make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks a lot, everybody. Bye-bye.